An awful lot has happened since a 14-year-old Florida girl told her parents a deep, dark secret way back in 2005. She said she'd been molested at the home of Jeffrey Epstein. And remarkably, 2 decades later, even with Epstein dead for 7 years, the scandal is nowhere near resolved. Justice nowhere near realized. Mainly because the facts are nowhere near where they should be, in public view. So far, the Justice Department has released about 12,000 pages of the so-called Epstein files. And while that does sound like a lot, it's only about 1% of the pages that are still under lock and key. More than 2 million documents have yet to be released, almost a month after the deadline that was set by Congress. We're told that about 500 reviewers are poring over that stash, making sure that names of accusers and other sensitive information is redacted. Still, no one has faced any repercussions for being hella late, which may point to a larger problem. One of the people who keeps popping up in the files is the same guy calling the shots, Donald Trump. Today, the DOJ pushed back on a move by lawmakers in Congress to have a neutral expert oversee the release. But luckily, my own experts are poised and ready for action. They both happen to be well connected to this story and very good friends of the show. Josh Schiffer is a criminal injury and civil rights lawyer who has represented several Epstein accusers. And Dave Aronberg is a former state attorney for Palm Beach, Florida. And that's important because this whole case started in Palm Beach. So welcome to the both of you, and thank you for being here on this day, this our last day. Josh, let me start with you. Should we really be trusting the government when the government tells us that they're missing these deadlines because they just have so much redacting left to do, to the tune of 2 million documents?
But I don't know another time in my life where people have been less cynical of the government than now. Trust in the government? I don't know how you would get anybody to agree that they trust the government, especially when it's something like data release, information, and information that we already know involves and includes our biggest leader, the man that is dominating our news headlines 24 hours a day. And that gets into what's happening with this slow release. And is there any connection even to the rest of the macro political news issues happening? It's even been alleged that some of these other actions are related as a distraction because of the importance of the Epstein story.
So Dave Aronberg, you used to work for the government when you were a prosecutor. Help me understand just how sensitive these kinds of files are, because I really want to believe that the government has the best interests of these poor victims and is going through with a fine-tooth comb and just blacking out what affects them, but doesn't protect anybody who doesn't deserve protecting.
Ashleigh, it's an honor to be with you on your last show. You will be deeply missed, and thank you for everything you've done for me. You're the best in true crime. And one last thing, I dressed up with a tie tonight because when you say farewell to a queen, you want to look your best. So when it comes to, and I mean it, when it comes to these files, the issue is they have 500 people and they have millions of pages of documents. But last year, the government said that they had reviewed all the files and there's nothing else to do. There's no one else to charge. But now they've got millions of documents to review now to look for redactions. And the redactions are not just for victims' names, but they also want to protect the boss. They want to protect Donald Trump. They want to make sure he does not look bad. And so it puts them in a tough position because you have all these people who are probably checking and then rechecking to make sure nothing gets beyond them. But then it has all these inconsistencies. There are some documents that are entirely blacked out, while others just have pinpoint redactions. You have names of co-conspirators that are all blacked out, except for Leslie Wexner, who was unredacted. Why? It's inconsistent, it's haphazard, and it's going to be full of mistakes, even with all these agents looking at the documents.
Well, Josh, you have a particularly interesting perch that you're sitting on because you've represented several of these victims, and many of the victims all talk amongst themselves as well. So there's a lot of sharing of information. And I know that you know what you haven't seen yet, what you have seen, and what you know is still to come. Can you give us a bit of a feel for what's still to come, that's still blacked out and still in the vault?
Well, the easiest thing to talk about is what the documents already referenced in the open records we all have access to, what they talk about. We know, without a doubt, Jeffrey Epstein's townhome was filled with hard drives. He was a well-known security camera guy. There's so many different examples of written or digital evidence that we know exists, and we obviously haven't seen. We haven't even seen any moving digital images in the most recent releases. The 12,000 pages are all static images. What more is there? What audio exists? And I imagine in that 5 million pages of records, let's talk about the bank records that are going to come out. Let's talk about the fact that we're going to be able to use advanced intelligence and computers to tie together these transactions and see exactly how this man rocketed to such wealth, to such influence. He palled around with the most important people in the world, people that still influence us now. How did that happen? And how did all of these terrible crimes happen right under their noses at the same time? It's a hard swallow.
Right. All these important people, all these people with influence. Dave Aronberg, that's why everyone is so wound up about the redactions. So from a legal perspective, having sat as a prosecutor, what else do you redact other than victims' names? Like, what else might they be redacting? What are they looking for that they're supposed to be redacting as opposed to what they may not be supposed to be redacting?
Here's the problem, Ashleigh. You have a well-intended law, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, but it's riddled with loopholes. In an attempt to get bipartisan support, they created all these loopholes that allow the DOJ to redact documents pertaining to national security, to anything pertaining to an ongoing criminal investigation, including one that President Trump recently started in the Southern District of New York to go after Democrats. Also, you only have to produce unclassified documents. So if the president wants to classify something, perhaps in his own mind, that doesn't have to be produced. So you have all these exceptions to the law, and if you have a problem with the way things are done, well, there's no enforcement mechanism in the law. Another problem with this legislation. So part of the problem is really Congress, even though they're looking to blame DOJ, understandably so, but still, Congress is the one who drafted this law that is flawed.
Dave Aronberg and Josh Schiffer, every time I have called, you have said yes. You have stayed up late. You have brought your A game. You have done the research, and you have helped our viewers understand so much of what they're not seeing on other networks. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for being with me all these years.
I'm going to steal a moment here, Ashleigh. You've been an icon my entire career. I remember first meeting you at studios here in Atlanta, and you are everything about what's good in telling the stories about true crime. And really, what the best litigators are. I trained directly with Jerry Spence, and I sat in his barn, and he talked about storytelling. And you have led everybody with storytelling and authenticity.
Jerry Spence.
Thank you.
That's a legendary name. Thank you. That's so incredibly kind. I still have one block left. I'm going to thank you and say goodbye, but not goodbye forever. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ashleigh.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.